All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wicked New England. I'm Andrew.
I'm Anthony.
I'm John.
Hi, guys. All right, so we actually got a good episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking a lot about paranormal TV shows, if you will, where they got their origin, where we're at now, how a lot of us get our ideas to get out in the world and kind of do it ourselves also, aside from our own interest in things like that. But just want to go over all that stuff with you guys. So actually, we want to take it back to before the reality TV era, way back, 1951, when actually none of us were born. But aside from that, we actually had a TV show called One Step Beyond. So that was aired by ABC. It was 96 episodes, so it ran for a good amount of time up until 1961. And it focused on real-life experiences, interviews, and so forth. They didn't have the same technology they have today, so they weren't able to go out and do, like, dramatizations or recreations, if you will, or, like, they weren't doing the going out to doing field work and whatnot because they couldn't have, the cameras out there and so forth for that. I don't even know if they had night vision yet then, did they?
I don't know.
So. I'd have to do some Googling on that. I'm not sure when they invented night vision. If you know, please drop that in the comments below. But, and after that, In Search Of was another popular one. That came out in 1977. It was actually hosted by Leonard Nimoy, so if you guys like Star Trek, you're going to know Spock right off the rip. So he was actually the host of that one. Each episode focused on like a specific type of like cryptid, and they labeled all their television episodes like, In Search Of UFOs, In Search Of, whatever, the Jersey Devil. Another famous one they did was actually In Search Of Bigfoot. That's where that gained some notoriety as well. They were kind of the first ones to do that. And then Sightings, that came a little bit later, 1991 to 96. So that was on Fox. They kind of looked at it like a anchor news desk kind of approach to documenting the paranormal, which a little bit different, I guess. And worth noting too is like that was pretty much the same time period that X-Files was out and started gaining its popularity, because I believe that show came out in 92. So, I mean, Fox was definitely getting that subscriber base that really wanted to see paranormal and spooky things. I think people were getting out of the 80s and we were less afraid of the gore, afraid of the scary stuff, and we started wanting to see the stuff again. Because if you're a horror fan, like I am, you noticed in the 80s they butchered all of our movies trying to get an R rating. So that kind of started coming off as we started to get into the 90s. Things got a little bit easier and so forth. I don't know, did anybody want to talk about any of those, or like before we kind of move on? But
No, unfortunately, our partner here kind of did a lot more research than I was expecting, and I think even John was expecting. The subject came up to do paranormal investigation shows, and instantly I thought of the ones that I was more familiar with. And I think John here thought the same aspect.
Okay.
We didn't think of going back, researching when they first started, or exactly what aspects they went into. So good job, Andrew.
Everybody, let's mark this down. This is a red letter date in the history of Wicked New England. It is Friday, July 5th. We are shooting this podcast, and Andrew was the most prepared for the show. You probably won't see this again. This will probably be the first and the last time. So breathe that in. Small victory for me. All right, so moving on after that, we actually are entering now the reality TV era, right? Kind of where we've been for a little while. We're starting to get out of it, but the start of the reality TV era, we had Ghost Hunters. So there was a lot of other shows, mind you, in between, okay? I'm not documenting every single one, because honestly, there's been hundreds. But like if it only ran for like one season, or maybe it didn't really get that following, or wasn't that popular, we're not going to really spend a whole lot of time on it. But Ghost Hunters, that was the first one that really mainstream took on paranormal investigating as an approach, like actually going out into the field and having these case files. They had the reveal at the end of each episode, interviews with the people that requested them to do the job in the beginning. It established a lot of that format that so many shows use nowadays. So in many ways, they were pioneers of that. And yes, they did get in a little hot water along the way for faking things or not faking things. I wasn't there, so I can't definitively say one way or another that they 100% faked events. I know that's come out that they did. But that group, the Transatlantic Paranormal Society, the original show, focused on them. and really started bringing these paranormal shows, back into the main fold, making it possible for so many others to get on TV. And then we have Paranormal State. That was on from 2007 to 2011, and there was another, what was it, Haunted State or there was another one you documented.
Haunted State.
Haunted State, okay, which I'm not
and
sure.
And Haunted State is more of a documentary aspect. It doesn't have TV show aspects to it. It's more of like maybe an hour, maybe 90 minutes. I believe they're based in Wisconsin. Their first episode, I believe, consisted with doing a theater. I believe they also did the Pabst Brewing Company. So, yeah, everybody loves a good beer. But, yeah, Haunted State is one that I had put on the list, which I'm crossing out right now. I'm just crossing out as we go through things, ladies and gentlemen. But, yeah, and I believe there was only 2 episodes. I could be wrong with that. If there are more, please let me know in the comments. I'm basically going off of what I know from reviewing earlier today. I basically spent all day watching Amazon Prime, looking up a lot of different things, watching aspects of parts that I've purchased from different series and shows. I'm not really the big paranormal investigation person for the TV show aspect. A lot of it, I think, and I feel is a little too dramatized sometimes. I did purchase a couple of shows where it struck my interest personally, and one aspect was Ghost Adventures, something Andrew had already brought up in the particular episode that I'm talking about. I believe was season 19, episode 12, where they toured the Titanic Museum in Branson, Missouri. That was an interesting episode to me. It also struck a nerve because there's potential aspects where children are ghosts trapped at the museum as well. So, John, how about you?
So I don't know if you guys want to kind of go into our own favorites.
Well,
we might as well.
Before we get to that, let's continue on with the list, and then we'll get back into that. So, actually, Ghost Adventures, which I hadn't brought it up yet, but thank you, Anthony. That was the next one, so we're here now. But Ghost Adventures and Destination Fear, My Paranormal Nightmare, and I know one John's going to want to talk about Paranormal Caught on Tape. Those are like those current era ones, right? Those ones that are like hitting heavy now. But the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit too, after we get to that, was, where are we going from here? Because really, the path we're on is less with TV and more with bloggers, vloggers. I mean, people getting out there with their own cameras and really making their own content, and we've seen more of that, I would say, in the last, 5 to 10 years than probably any of the years before it, and I can't give you all the reasons for that, but I think, people, they see all their favorite shows and all this classic entertainment and things, honestly, that they were maybe interested in before, and now equipment's become more and more affordable to the point that the general person can pretty much own a video studio and just in the form of a camera. So, I mean, now we're entering really what I think is the YouTube era. And I mean, obviously we have TikTok, we have X, we have Twitch, and any other social media platform that you're using. But now is the time for people making their own videos, and it's not really made by a giant production company. It's people going out and doing it on their own, giving it kind of like a more raw quality to it than a polished studio quality, if you will, which is almost better in my opinion, because I feel like it's a little bit more real as opposed to glossied up. You're not going to see the dramatizations and those scenes and things like that they have on the big shows. Not that there's anything wrong with that. They're great for entertainment. I love those shows. Just taking us back to, I'm talking about Ghost Adventures, right? Like, regardless if I think all of that is 100% real or fake, just from an entertainment value, I enjoy watching it. And I know most people who do paranormal investigating do too. Do you look at it as like the gold standard of like this is truth and this is not? Of course not. Seeing is believing, so almost being there yourself is the only way to do that. But it's great entertainment, and you do learn some tips and tricks along the way too, though, because as you'll see in almost any paranormal investigator, I would go so far as to bet on YouTube or anywhere else they're all going to be using pretty much the same kind of equipment because that's what we have to use. So, I mean, John, I don't know if you want to talk about something specific with Ghost Adventures, or if you had like maybe a particular episode that just kind of sticks out to you.
Well, honestly, I don't have a specific episode, but I think I've talked about it before on the podcast. My sister and I, we used to watch the show almost religiously, That's kind of how I got into the paranormal and everything, and just being entertained by it. I think that whole crew is very entertaining. My favorite thing about them is how every single spot, it almost feels like without fail, they'll force Aaron to do a solo investigation. I think that's hilarious.
Aaron, that's where you'll be staying tonight.
Yeah, like that.
Without fail.
I think that's always funny, where it's like they'll be going through, they'll experience something, and then suddenly all you'll hear is, "All right, Aaron, do you mind doing a solo investigation
Hey, you
over
know
here?"
what though? That's a testament to that man in the group, okay? Because obviously he is the toughest one, because he takes on the
Clearly.
hardest solo spots out of anybody on the team.
Clearly. I think that's hilarious. Every
John
time.
wants to be Aaron, so we're going to put him in some tight situations, just because.
Yeah, actually, I'll leave that to the investigations. Never mind.
I'll invent something, buddy. Me, as far as my favorite episodes go on Ghost Adventures, unfortunately, I can't even remember the two locations' names right now, but I know if I describe them, you guys will remember. But one of them is the Doll Island episode in Mexico, just because it is super creepy. I'm not really inherently afraid of dolls, but I think thousands of dolls is enough to give anybody the willies, because that's a lot of eyes. Which, actually, we got another podcast coming up a little bit later. We're going to film tonight also, and we'll talk about some eyes and some things that we saw on the job recently. But not to give away too much on that, though. But my new favorite one, I guess, I watch is Destination Fear, which actually was already on and then off. But I'm just now getting around to watching it. I'm on season 3. And honestly, I just like the approach a little bit. It's kind of refreshing. Ghost Adventures is definitely more of like a hammering on the investigation part of it. They stay up all night, if you will. Destination Fear, they're actually trying to sleep in these locations after they do a little bit of investigation, which I think is cool. It forces all of them to be on a solo spot, if you will, in most situations. They got to spend at least 3-4 hours alone, which can be terrifying, and they're kind of doing it for the whole point is doing it for the fear aspect and testing their threshold limit, if you will, and what happens to themselves in fear as they get put in these weird situations. So that one's pretty cool. Another one I watched recently on Amazon, which I don't know what channel it was on originally, but My Paranormal Nightmare. So that one's actually all dramatization. So that one's taking people's accounts and just dramatizing the whole thing. So once again, definitely entertainment value for sure. You don't see any proof. You don't see any of these people that investigated it when they did it. You get to hear about it afterwards. But pretty cool. Get some pretty interesting stories that might give you the willies. I especially like watching it like the last thing before I go to sleep, because I'm a freak. But, whatever. It calms me down, I guess. Guys, what else you want to talk about?
Well, as far as the TV shows, like I said, most of them, it's a little bit too much drama in some cases, which is why I don't really watch them. Some of them that I have picked up on, which I do look at and I find somewhat interesting. One show happened to be Paranormal State, which I believe was a couple of college kids from Penn State University that got together and actually did a couple of seasons. I can't remember how many.
Paranormal State was pretty much a bunch. They
I think they did quite a few, but
2007 to 2011.
Yeah, so
decent amount.
They did a decent amount for a bunch of college kids. Kudos to them. But yeah, I mean, not a little bit of dramatization. I understand the aspects. We're trying to put on a good show, trying to give viewers what they want, and it's also a lot more entertainment value. In some aspects, I want to try to keep things a little more serious and try to get facts. In some cases where we're doing investigations, I think you're going to see us goofing around and whatnot. We may or may not be in some strange circumstances where we kind of got to lighten the mood between the three of us. So in that aspect.
I'm in danger.
Yeah. But as I was saying before, when we were talking about favorite shows or episodes in particular, one episode from a show was Kindred Spirits, and the particular episode that attracted me more or less to the situation was a place that you, I believe, had mentioned in a previous podcast where we would like to go potentially, and that would be the USS Salem.
Definitely, yeah. For sure.
I had done, as I said, part of that podcast I believe we did before. I was part of a paranormal investigation. The USS Salem does do paranormal investigations. I think there is seasons. We might be in the season for it right now. They only do it maybe once or twice a month or every other weekend, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the Kindred Spirits episode brought a lot of information. I'm going to say that it's season 5, episode 7. Of course, when we talk seasons and episodes, it depends on what platform you might be viewing it on, because some of these platforms will actually change your seasons, mix things up, as well as your episodes, and it's not quite accurate to, what's the word that I'm looking for, the way it actually came out in reality. So, but John, how about you? You got any other special episodes you want to talk about?
So, not quite ghosts. Another show that I used to love watching. Not so much that I believed, I just found it really entertaining. Finding Bigfoot. Of course, my favorite investigator was Bobo. I used to be so entertained watching Finding Bigfoot.
Is it because you're a Sasquatch?
You know, funny you say that, okay? Bigfoot has been my nickname in some social circles.
Moving on.
But yeah, no, I find it fun. You know, I liked their approach of they go to a spot, they have kind of like a town hall type meeting where they just get a bunch of personal accounts, and then they go off in the woods and try to find a Sasquatch. You know, I don't know, I think it's a fun thing, and it gets the whole community involved. I thought it was a fun show. I don't know if they're still on air. I'm honestly not too sure. I haven't watched them in a long time. But, yeah, that was one paranormal show that I loved. The next one that I want to start is Paranormal Caught on Camera, right? That one's actually, it's on Max right now. It keeps popping up in my feed, so...
On that one, just because I've seen a few episodes, I will say I think you'll enjoy it. It's good fun. It's hit or miss on what is probably real and what is not. Like, I think each episode has multiple things in there, but from what I've seen, which I've seen about 4 episodes now, I'd say about half of it has been probable, and the other half of the episode is maybe just fluff that they put in. You know what I mean? They're selling it as real, but I'm not convinced.
I mean, it makes sense.
But
it makes sense.
Every episode, you're going to see at least one thing, I would say, that is pretty legitimate, it looks like. So, you know, it's not a waste of time. It's hugely entertaining. So either way, you know.
I mean, this is coming from a guy who used to watch Finding Bigfoot. I'm looking for entertainment.
You remember, like, True TV? You know, who was, like, Danny Bonaducci and, like, World's Dumbest Drivers, Caught on Tape and all that.
God.
They would have, like, a different category for everything, right? But watching that kind of reminds me of watching those shows, but for paranormal. So it is still very entertaining. But that's the vibe I get off of that show. Still good. And actually, before we move forward, too, there's one gripe I want to get across with Ghost Adventures. And, you know, it's highly unlikely that Zach Baggins is watching this, okay? But I'm throwing it out there anyway. The only gripe I ever had, okay, we live in New England. It's like the most haunted part of the country. Well proven. The most haunted part of the country. And almost every single episode of Ghost Adventures goes around us, okay? There's hardly ever an investigation here. You've done some, okay? But far more have been done in the West Coast and in the South. And we just need a little love up here, too, all right? Ghost Adventures, it's still kicking. It's still on. It's still time, all right? Show New England some love, all right?
There's ample time for Zach to come and visit.
Absolutely, 100%.
We would totally have him on
the show. We
look
forward to it. Yes,
we would love it. Would he want to be with us? Probably not. But
no, we're pond scum. But
a boy can dream.
boy can dream. That's right. But no, I want to be watching Ghost Adventures and be like, it's in my backyard. He's right there. But enough for that. So moving into the next era, as we were talking about, the YouTube era. So definitely just kind of want to make some shout outs to some of the people that I've been following lately. They give me inspiration. They honestly, give me that little extra I need to keep going. And just like I said, just inspire me some more to go. But exploring with Josh, so he's probably my favorite right now, hands down. I actually didn't even find him until maybe 6 months ago. I started watching him, and I feel like I kind of missed out because he's been out there for so long doing this stuff. And I think for a while I just didn't really go on YouTube or whatever. But exploring with Josh, I mean, everything he's done, the whole Exploring the Dark series, even just like abandoned places and stuff when he explores them, great. If he ever watches this, hell yeah, man, keep fighting the good fight. Love your show. Paranormal Files, so I haven't watched all of theirs yet. That's another one I'm kind of getting into. I've been hit or miss on some of the episodes. I think it just depends on where they choose to investigate, right? But overall, I like what they do. So definitely on that one too, same thing. And Hellscape Paranormal, I will say, they're a very small group. I don't think they have many subscribers. But, I got a lot of help out in the beginning, figuring out gear and so forth and stuff like that. So honestly, without their help, I don't think we'd be where we are right now, just with what we could use, what was maybe a cheaper option than a high dollar piece of equipment and so forth. So they did one video on that really helped us out in a big way. So I definitely wanted to give them a shout out, maybe like and subscribe them if you feel like checking them out. Again, Hellscape Paranormal. And there are these new guys too. I don't know if you guys heard of them yet. They're the newest ones I just started following, but I think they call Wicked New England. Yeah.
They're my favorite.
These guys are great. No, that's all I got, guys. But I mean, is there anything you guys want to touch?
You mentioned Exploring with Josh. I've actually followed Exploring with Josh for many years. If I'm not mistaken, Josh started out exploring abandoned places. So I've always watched him, and what always fascinated me was the abandoned places aspect. You think about the people that work there, the people that live there in some cases, and you think about how old the place is, how long it's been abandoned for. Some of the places that he's explored. I mean, this is a man that's gone overseas. He's explored castles. He's explored estates. He's explored places in Japan. He's legit been around the world, and I just give him a lot of credit for what credit's due. He's done a lot of exploring. He's also done some paranormal stuff, investigating aspect as well. And I take pride in watching other people get involved with this stuff. It's also helped me understand how to do the investigation in some aspects, whether or not we're showing some of the stuff that you might be picking up on that we're doing from other individuals. I don't know, but leave it and let us know in the comments. But before we actually go any further, I just want to say that there was another show that I had picked up on. It actually started in 2002, and that show was Most Haunted. It is from Great Britain, where, if I'm not mistaken, most of the haunted paranormal investigation aspects of things, basically that's kind of where it started, in Great Britain. Where else? What better place to start the investigation where most of the English-speaking world that we're aware of all pretty much started in Britain for the most part. So I mean, the England, European aspect, again, Most Haunted, check it out. They started May 25th, 2022, and if I'm not mistaken, they're still going on today. They've been running for about 23 seasons.
I believe it. I mean, hey, look at Doctor Who.
Yeah.
How many seasons?
That's for sure.
In generations, right? Doctor Who is endless. I mean, in what, Downtown Abbey or Downton Abbey, how you pronounce it, but ran a million seasons? Just about. So no surprise there. A lot of the shows on the BBC definitely run forever. They know what they like. That can be said. You know, and while the Americans were sleeping in the early '60s and stuff, like I said, taking us all the way back to that first one, British TV had more of these paranormal shows than really anywhere else. There's just more of an interest there, I guess. John,
Any
anything
thoughts?
else?
I think it's very interesting that they kind of started it off, and then now you see a lot of people interested in America too. But yeah, overall, I didn't watch either of those shows.
Oh, I don't think you were born yet, John.
I
In
was
fact, you
not.
weren't even a zygote.
I don't think you guys were born yet either.
No. No.
Which is
But,
surprising.
but you can watch reruns of a lot of this stuff on YouTube, or at least clips of them that are not copyright protected. So,
And you can also
have a watch.
You can also do purchases, like I said, through Amazon Prime. Some of these shows are also on multiple of the other platforms out there, the streaming networks, I should say, of Disney, I believe, Paramount Plus.
A lot of these are on Max.
Max.
I mean,
So, I mean,
Max
you
is
can
good,
check
yeah.
out all these shows freely at your own will. But I also want to mention a couple of more documentary aspects, especially here in New England. There are two in particular that the three of us are well aware of. First being New England Legends, hosted by Jeff Belanger. Does not run too many episodes, disappointing. It takes money to run things like that, and unfortunately, sometimes you can only put out so much.
but he's in the like over 1,000 now on the podcast, or is it like in like the
Jeff Belanger, as far as podcasts
They might have
go,
hit 1,000.
New England Legends has a TV show. It's free, I believe, on Amazon Prime. I believe it's also on YouTube, I believe.
The podcast is free everywhere.
Podcast is free everywhere, so check them out if you're interested or curious to know some of the legends that happen in the 6 states of New England. And by all means, if there's other aspects going on in your state, if you're not from New England, if you're from the West Coast, down south, or Midwest, if there's podcasts or whatnot going on, drop those down in the comments below. We'd love to check them out and find out what's going on in other places of the country. The other documentary that I wanted to bring up was, of course, the Bridgewater Triangle. Now, it's funny how a lot of things are nowadays where we seem to be looking at the triangle and going, well, things are happening over here, things are happening over there, and it's not like the triangle is specific to the triangle. I think that these events have always been going on. It's just a matter of technology getting more accessible to everybody, where nowadays everybody has a camera, everybody's recording something. So we're actually starting to document strange activity of unexplained aspects. And that's why I think the triangle's kind of grown outside the triangle. I think it's always been that way. But I do feel that there is a certain aspect within the Bridgewater Triangle that just makes it more, I don't know, the history that's within the triangle between King Philip's War and everything that was going on back then. So, I mean, what do you guys have to say about the two things that I just mentioned? Or are there any other documentary shows that you guys are aware of?
Well, I mean, there's as far as documentaries go, I'm always looking to watch new ones and so forth. I definitely love the New England Legends podcast and the shows where I can get it. First season was free. You had to purchase the second season, which I did on Amazon. Definitely awesome there. But yeah, like anything specifically kind of comes to mind. I guess if you're really interested in Fall River history, because since we're here, it's not completely paranormal, but there is the Fall River documentary that is really good.
Yes, that's right. I forget the actual name of the documentary. Is it just Fall River?
My brain is mush right now. It is smooth, no lumps, and so it just falls off.
When it comes to the Bridgewater Triangle, I actually had first heard about that in high school, and the whole reason why I thought it was interesting is because I was going to a high school that fell in the Bridgewater Triangle. It was actually one of my best friends who told me about it, and from there, that really just got me interested. to kind of hear about people's reports of what they experienced, hear about some of the history that went on within that section of New England. But yeah, I think it's pretty interesting stuff going on.
And that's why I think it fascinates the three of us even more, because we're literally within range of the triangle itself, whether it be a point, a corner, or an edge. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why New England Legends and the Bridgewater Triangle do mean a lot to us, and it's what we reference a lot. When we're walking around, we're pulling out references for what we know of the area based off of what we've heard. So, other than that, I got nothing else.
That's it for me on this episode, guys. But actually, the name of that documentary is Fall River, just straight up. Just so if you're wondering about that, it's pretty much available to buy just about anywhere you would buy digital content. I'm pretty sure you can't get it on disc, but even still, you can definitely watch it. It's like a 5-part miniseries or so. So, it's pretty long, but it's good. It's a good watch, especially if you're a Fall River native. So it gives you a bit of that local history. But that's all I wanted to say. So along with these guys, I just want to say thank you for watching another episode, and we will catch you on the next one.
Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.